The purpose of this demonstration is to show how to use the ActiveX commands to make your Excel worksheet interactive. The first thing you have to do is make sure that you have developer in the ribbon. Now, depending on the version of Excel, how you do that is a little bit different. For example, in this version of Excel, I would go to File and Options, and then I would find it under Customize Ribbon and make sure that it's over here in the ribbons that I selected. In other versions, it'll be a checkbox in the General option. So it really depends on the version of Excel and how it is set up on the computer. If it's your own personal computer, you can set up the developer ribbon and have it appear every time. If you're using a computer lab, you might have to make sure to add the developer ribbon every time. Now, what we need to do is use this developer ribbon. So if you click on the developer ribbon, you can then see that we're going to be doing something with an ActiveX command by inserting. Now, what I've got here is a very simple problem. We give you the present value, the rate of interest, the frequency of compounding, the number of years, and then we use the future value command. That's our solution. Now, what I'm going to do is just take that and just highlight that for you by putting a border around it. So that is the solution. What we're going to do is we're going to vary these inputs. And what I'm going to do first is just vary the compounding frequency per year. Initially, we start out with 1, and what I'm going to do is show you how to vary this by using the ActiveX command. Going to the developer ribbon, we go to Insert. Now you'll notice there's two sets of commands here. One's Forms, one's ActiveX. We want ActiveX. They look similar, but they do behave differently. So let's go ahead and choose down here slide bar. They call it scroll bar, and I call it a slide bar because what we're going to do is slide along that bar and change a parameter. So we're going to click on this slide bar, and we're just going to put it somewhere. Now you can put it doesn't have to fit in a cell. And you can change the size of the slide bar any way you'd like. If you change the cell here, it does not change the width of the slide bar. So you control it by clicking on it. But you have to be in design mode. You notice the design mode automatically was highlighted. When we're in design mode, we can alter this bar. Now the way we use this bar is to slide from a minimum to a maximum. And the way we set that up is to go to the properties. The properties, I'm going to move it over here, center it. We can look at the alphabetical listing or categorized by type. Let's go to the alphabetical. Now here we want to vary the compounding frequency per year. What we'd like to do is have as a minimum 1, and then for a maximum, you can see the default value is pretty high. Let's go ahead and have 12. So the maximum is monthly compounding. So we're changing frequency of compounding, allowing it to go from 1 to 12 within this scroll bar. Now there are a lot of other things we can do here. We can change the color of the bar and so forth, but for now let's go ahead and just keep it simple. Now the other thing we want to do is also link this scroll bar to a particular cell. Now the cell we're linking to in this example is B5, so I'm going up here to the link cell properties and type in B5. So as we change the scroll bar, then B5 will change. So now we're going to go ahead and close out the properties, get out of design mode so we can try this out. What we do is we slide this bar, and as we do so, you'll see that the future value changes. Now let me click in here in future value. The role of the frequency of compounding is 1 to reduce the interest rate per period. So if the compounding frequency is 2, that's semi-annual compounding. So we would, in the future value command, the rate is going to be the annual interest rate, or APR, divided by the number of compounding periods in a year, which is B5, that linked cell. The number of periods is going to be B6, which is number of years, times the frequency of compounding. So if it's semi-annual, it'd be 12 periods for 6 years. We have no payment here, and the present value here is a negative B3. Now you remember, in financial functions, whether you're using a calculator or using Excel, you need to change the present value to a negative value for this to work. So that's what we'll do, is we'll go ahead and close that out. And you can see that you can change this frequency. Now we can also change the number of years. Now here, when we start doing this, we're going to be increasing the value. So let me widen this a little bit. And let's go back to Insert, ActiveX here, Slider, Scroll Bar. I'm going to put one right underneath here. We can worry about what it looks like a little bit later. I'm going to alter the properties of this. Now in terms of number of years, I'm going to do a minimum of 1. And let's go ahead and a maximum of 25. The linked cell in this case is going to be the B6. And now we've got another one that we can play with. And what we'll do is change the number of years. So we can change the frequency of compounding, and we can change the number of years. We could also do this with the interest rate or the present value. You can have a slide bar for each of these input parameters. So now let's go ahead and dress this up a little bit. We're going to go ahead here and take out the grid lines. And then I'm going to go ahead and go into Developer Ribbon, Design Mode, click on the scroll bar for compounding, Properties, and this is where I can dress it up. Now the way I'm going to dress it up, I'm going to go to Categorize, and I'm going to go Back Color, and I'm going to go ahead and I can change this. I think I'll use the palette system, and I'll put a deep blue. And the forecolor, I'm going to use again the palette system, and let me do a gold. So I've just changed the little arrows. Now I'm also going to take this and look at the height here. Is that what I want, or do I want to change a little bit? So I could make it a little shorter. And I could make it narrower, wider. Right now it's 59.4 for the width. So let me just make it 60. See what happens. There. I'm going to close this out, get out of design mode. So now we again have the scroll that changes the frequency of compounding. We can do the same type of thing changing this other one. So let's go ahead to design mode, click on this particular scroll bar, properties. I'm going to go ahead and take this one and change the color to something distinctive. I'm going ahead and forecolor, and again, palette system, I'll make those gold. I'm going to go down to the height and make this 13 to match the other one. And I'm going to go down to the width and make it 60. This way it'll be exactly the same size as the other scroll bar. It doesn't mean it's going to be placed exactly the same, because it's one of those things that you would move around with the cursor. So now we get out of design mode and we can try this out. And as you can see, as you change these, you change the value. And you can use ActiveX in many different ways. This is simply one way to use ActiveX. There are other ways to use ActiveX in terms of a yes-no, a toggle, if you will. So the user would click on the toggle and that would affect the results. There are forms that you can develop, and so on. So, it's worth exploring, but at least the scroll bars give you an idea of what this might look like.